South Africa has been upgraded by the Financial Action Task Force Plenary from its 22-item action plan, with 8 items now largely addressed and 1 partially addressed. The country now aims to address 16 of the 22 action items, leaving 6 outstanding items for the last reporting cycle, which concludes in February 2025. The National Treasury is pleased with the progress made by South Africa, as recognized by the FATF. Executive Director of Firstsource Money, Redge Nkosi, joins us now for more on this conversation. Redge, thank you so much for your time this evening. Of course, it seems as if, a lot of progress has been made here when it comes to trying to remove South Africa from, being grey listed. Maybe if you can just take us through what this actually entails.
Yeah, firstly, the issues of money laundering that are so important the country has to deal with, including matters related to financing of terrorism. So South Africa in 2023 was grey listed, meaning it wasn't compliant with the appropriate frameworks that pertain to these. And now, almost, shall we say 10 or so months, or close to 12 months, South Africa seems to have done quite well. And perhaps in the coming few months, we should clear all the remaining 6 items that South Africa now seems to be battling with. But I think they're very little. South Africa should therefore be off the grey list in a very short space of time. This implies that there shouldn't be any fear going forward, of being sanctioned by international financial institutions that can therefore mean a lot of trouble for the country.
And what is South Africa doing right to ensure that, it is ultimately removed from being grey listed?
I think there are essentially 3 strategic deficiencies that South Africa has to work with. These pertain to the prosecution and of those who are doing wrong in terms of money laundering, and issues related to terrorism, including the investigations that have to be done. South Africa has to do that quite vigorously, and it should be able to show that it is complying with the 3 items, key items, essentially, even if there are 6, but they fall within 3 strategic areas that talk to investigations, prosecution, and working or coordinating or ensuring or blocking the institutions or persons that are involved in the movement of funds in and out of the country. So these would essentially be the areas that we're now struggling with. In my view, it shouldn't be problematic because South Africa is already showing a great deal of vigor in pursuing people who are on the wrong side of the law, and therefore being brought back into the good books of the IMF, which led the investigations of FATF, the Financial Action Task Force.
And Reg, how long does it usually take for many countries, around the world to ultimately remove themselves from being grey listed?
It depends, really, with the number of issues that they've been listed for. So some can take within a year. I think South Africa will take about a year and a half, in a way. So if it was February 2023 and going to be another February 2025, that talks to close to 2 years. But some can get out of the list in a year. Others can take a bit longer, depending on how vigorous they are in applying the rules. But average 2 years is not bad for South Africa, in my view, because we know some have taken even closer to 5 years.
And when it comes to, the position that South Africa finds itself at this moment, and you're saying that, we are close to being removed from, grey listing, how long will it take? Is it a couple of more months, or is it by February 2025 that you predict that South Africa can be removed?
The total removal will actually come in June 2025 when the plenary sits. Or the FATF plenary sits. However, by 2025, February, we should be able to demonstrate that we're done with all the action items that remain. So the 6 should be completed by 2025, February. An assessment is going to be done then. And then that assessment is going to be brought before the plenary that takes place in June 2025, where South Africa officially removed, assuming that the 3 strategic deficiency areas are going to have to be attended to by February 2025. So yes, we shall know though by about March or thereafter, or thereabout, whether we'll be out or not. We shall be able to get a sense of that. But a decision is going to be presented before the plenary in June.
And talking about, these 6 action items which are left, maybe if you can just take us through those, what needs to be done now to ensure that these 6 items are removed.
Well, I think they could be grouped essentially into 3 that I said. They want to see South Africa investigating very hard these institutions and persons who are involved in the money laundering, and continue to prosecute. They want to see prosecution for those that are involved in activities that are deemed illegal, and vigorous, according to them, vigorous investigation with in regard to these crimes. So essentially, these are the major key areas, but there are sub-aspects of these 3 deficiency or strategic deficiency areas that South Africa has to look for. So it's really around fighting the persons who are involved in these illegal activities, prosecuting them and successfully prosecuting them, I suppose, and doing a lot of investigations just beyond the normal checks and balances that we come to see in some of these countries, which are not very serious. So the FATF want to see us doing the real hard work. But it's almost a done deal that South Africa is one part of it by February next year.
And when South Africa ultimately is removed from being grey-listed, what will it ultimately mean for the country, from an international front, as well as for South Africa's economy?
Remember, these things are part of the financial system, which we are a part, and therefore the cost of doing business may necessarily increase as a consequence of us not complying with these. Countries can shun us from the businesses that we are involved in. That can be costly for the country, is in effect costly for the country. So when we are lifted from there, it essentially means countries will have confidence in dealing with South Africa. Therefore, the costs of so doing business with South Africa will certainly be lower. So, it does help. It can contribute quite meaningfully to growing the economy, because people will be able to move money freely, understanding very well that the legal system, legal framework in South Africa is solid, and that everyone is complying with the standards so set.
All right, Mr. Nkosi, thank you so much for your time and for the clarity this evening. That is Redge Nkosi. He is the Executive Director of FirstSource Money, just giving us there his insights when it comes to the progress South Africa has made in terms of trying to get the country removed from being grey-listed.